Hey, it's me again. I'm about ready to go on the news now, and I've mastered this art of information gathering that I got going on here, and I think I know more than anybody else in the world, except for the intelligence community, and as a civilian, I mean, I feel fucking honored to have accomplished this shit like I did and get through this terrible time of my life, but it's not over yet. I figured out that these guys are actually, when I hear these guys talk to me, I don't think for a second they're just fucking delusions or whatever, imaginary voices or anything like that. I know they're real as they can get. They're real people, and still amazes me that they can talk that way to people, but they're doing it to me, and they're doing it to thousands of other people, and it's called, basically what they're doing is they're responding to my thoughts oftentimes. And I figured out that these guys are able to do functional magnetic resonance imaging with the Wi-Fi signal, along with EEG signals are probably getting collected too, with signals intelligence from NSA. And they are actually using the possibly computed axial tomography, along with what else would they be using? That's really about it, all I can think of right now, that they would be using those three combined to be able to decode these brain electrical signals and get the algorithms that they input into the equation to go ahead and convert that information into the the deep parts of our brain, and what's going on in there. They can put that up into, I think, captions on a computer monitor, and they know what you're thinking. And it's true. I mean, this is no joke. It's neuromorphic computing as well. That's another way to, thing to call it. And it's just wild, though, that they can do the vision. The vision reconstruction out of the mind is outrageous. And it's called neuromorphic vision reconstruction processing. And they're able to take what the information that the optical nerve, I believe, is gathering as far as the input from what the field of vision is intaking, and taking in, I mean, is being converted into an electrical signal and traveling through the optic nerve, and they're able to decode that too with they're picking that up with signals intelligence sensors as well, which would be Wi-Fi would be the sensor. And I still ain't sure if they're using my own Wi-Fi, which I suspect they could be using the private Wi-Fi signal that is around in the complex that I'm in, and or they could damn well just be using a government band too, and that would be the safest thing to do. But I am not sure, and I want a way to find out. I need a computer scientist to come and talk to me if that at all possible. And if you're a computer science expert, then I need you to talk to me in person and look at this Wi-Fi scan results that I have on my cell phone here, because I picked up 3 or 5 individuals that are using Tor software, and that's Tor, and what they're doing is they're hiding from being detected by, say, Google or the phone company, the Wi-Fi distributor, and they don't want to get busted is what they're fucking doing. And they know they've been doing illegal ass shit like espionage, and they're hiding even from the CIA with that Tor software, and they're always using it. I mean, I've scanned the Wi-Fi 100 times now, and I never found them once not using that Tor. So, and they're also using, 2 of them are using port 7, which I haven't looked into yet, but I know port 9050 is a listening port for the Tor software, and that's just, I suspect that is a signal receiver, basically a gateway maybe. I'm not so sure, but I think what those guys are doing is they're picking up the signal that I'm hooked up to, which is, they're obviously hooked up to my Wi-Fi, so that means they could be picking up the signal that my phone is connected to, and they're picking it up, what would it be, downstream or upstream, and they're grabbing a hold of all the data that is coming out of my phone and being transferred through the internet and over the internet, and it's just that I think they're either upstream or downstream from my phone, and that's all I can think of. I can't even think right now, I'm too tired, but anyways, I know enough now to be able to say it's NSA, the FBI, and the Defense Threat Reduction Agency in Singapore, and it's the DTRA. Those motherfuckers are bad news, and I think those guys are the ones that could be doing the brain activity, computing of processing it and turning it into shit they can put and use for computer programs, like for computational neuroscience, and also neuromorphic computing, hardware even, and programs and software. And what they need is there's a big demand right now for computer programs and hardware that mimics the neural network of a human brain, because they want these programs to be able to think, and the AI to be able to think like a human does, to figure out problems and solve equations and stuff like that. So that's what they're doing, and they're using this shit all for robotics industry, like neuro robotics for AIRFORCE, DARPA, and they're selling the shit everywhere in the world. And they're doing it with me, and I could have a rare case, I think, which I do think I do, because nobody else in this world, I don't think, suffered as much as me. I mean, I was tortured for 3 years, and it was hardcore, to the point where I wanted to commit suicide at one point in time, at a couple different points, actually. One time I was going to jump off a bridge. The other time I was going to fall on my knife, and that's just because I ain't even suicidal or anything either, and I was just fucking ready to do the humane thing and take my ass out of this picture that I was in, And I now know it was getting straight fucked up by the old Crows, electronic warfare gang from the Air Force, and they are probably working right at NSA. And that's just what I think. The DTRA is who NSA is transferring this intelligence to, so that the DTRA can hold on to it, because NSA probably don't even want it no more. They could have just pawned it off on the DTRA, but no, I think the Defense Threat Reduction Agency is who does the dirtiest work of all, and they're probably the ones that aid the robotics industry more than anybody else because of where they're located. And I just am ready to get what I deserve for having 14 some years of my life taken for the use of espionage as the biggest, most underlying issue here that I've dealt with. And I know my father's got 22 U.S. patents in his name for inventions that he's come up with, and I've got a lot of ideas and concepts and inventions and shit that I've came up with in my day that was taken from me. Probably 85% of it was taken in the past 14 years, because this was the prime years of my life, and they call me a fucking schizophrenic. I could hang you in a tree for calling me a schizophrenic, for real. If you're watching this and you think somebody around here is schizo, check yourself, because you're smelling your own ass is what you're doing. Anyways, what I'm trying to say is that I know that they got liquid nitrogen supercooled supercomputers running at NSA and the DTRA, or the Defense Threat Reduction Agency, that is, and they are doing all of this crazy ass shit. I mean, they're making so much money off of me. They could have even made upwards to $1 trillion off of me, is what I expect, and guess is the right number. And these people that are involved are human traffickers. They're espionage committing people that work for NSA, like I said, the FBI, and I believe the FBI is connected to this system where they're just hooked up maybe to the defense network, and they're overseeing the project. Just some agents, special agents are, and they could actually be people at the Operational Technology Division headquarters in Virginia. But then I wonder if that just ain't for guns and shooting ballistics testing and shit like that, and velocity checks and stuff. I'm not so sure what they do there, but I thinking along the lines that they could be wearing brain-computer interfaces with the virtual reality headsets on, and basically seeing neuromorphic vision reconstruction put up on the virtual reality monitor inside their helmet, and then they got a person's vision field, that's been reconstructed and put into their monitor inside their virtual reality headset, and then they can see exactly what you're looking at in real time, so they can experience your life when you're the one living it. And they can do this wirelessly, dude. They can broadcast that to the FBI. so the FBI can start thinking like the person that they're interested in investigating and doing surveillance on. And it's probably, my other terminology that I came up with is called a neuromorphic spy, and that's what I called myself in a letter I wrote. And I'm just sickened by the fact that they're using me for a human camera system. And these guys tell me what I'm looking at all the time. They used to anyway. And they do from time to time still. I mean, they'll comment on stuff that indicates that they see exactly what I'm seeing. And there's no other way they could have done it. And synthetic imagery ain't capable of having the angles and stuff of that my own vision does when they comment. And I know that they're commenting off of my vision reconstruction, processing up on a computer monitor. And that's just basically my field of vision is always up on one of their monitors. I think there's probably 8 monitors to each one of these guys' desks at NSA and or the DTRA, and they're in Singapore. The DTRA guys are, and they say the host nation for the Defense Threat Reduction Agency is the United States. And back in 1995, I did have the bomb squad at my house, and that's not my fault, though. It's really my brother who got into something he shouldn't have, and it's a long story, but the bomb squad had me come downstairs at the old house and have me look for chunks of finger and hand and stuff like that stuck to the walls and the ceiling too, and I remember blood everywhere. It was a bad scene, and I didn't like it very much. Anyways, I'm telling you that these sons of bitches are able to sit on, my Wi-Fi, I think is what these guys might be doing, is that they're doing collection of certain things by human intelligence gathering, and that is probably because they're trying to cover for the NSA, and that's all I can think of. If they are doing it locally, then that's what's going on, but if they're not local, and I'm picking up these guys on the Wi-Fi due to the fact that they're actually, like I said, downstream or upstream on the Wi-Fi signal that I'm using to be able to intercept data coming from my phone that's supposed to go through the internet transmission line to get to the main server and put out to wherever I'm trying to put it to. And I'm wondering why these guys ain't just connected to the server or something and hack into the fucking line. Why when they drill out and put a node in the line or something like that and a connection so they can intercept data that way. I mean, like the undersea cable, the transatlantic or whatever they want to call it. They put a tap in the cable, and the spies are intercepting data and they're selling it to everybody they can, and that's just what they did with me as a piece of meat. They sold me so many times I can't even explain to you how much they have sold me, and the DOD is all guilty. I mean, the Defense Department, even though they helped me, a lot of them aren't up to no conspiracy whatsoever. they're good people, and I think more so the 70% is good and 30% is corrupt as they get. And I would guess that it's only a matter of time before, the electromagnetics research that I've done pays off, and it's going to pay off by me going ahead and talking about this stuff with people and getting people to research what I tell them to, because everything I say is researchable and it's good information. So the next thing I wanted to say is that I don't know if anybody out there has ever been interrogated by the FBI, enhanced interrogation, and or CIA enhanced interrogation tactics with the microwave auditory effect being used on them, and or they used so-called schizophrenic voices on me to get me to say something that they wanted me to say without anybody else talking around me. So they had these guys standing outside my door at the hospital room. There was 3 sets of tennis shoes. I remember I knelt down and looked under the door because I was so scared. I wanted to know if there was really somebody out there, because I couldn't believe that this motherfucker could be talking through the door. And I justified it as that's what he was doing, because when you're first starting out and you're hearing people talk to you that you can't see and you can't justify it, how they're talking to you, you're going to go to the first fucking thing that is even remotely capable of being believed to be the case, and you're going to believe it and go with it. So that's what most people do, I think, is they just believe the doctor when they say that their own mind is causing these voices to be heard. And it's not even hearing. I mean, you can't even call it hearing, and that's what I always tell these guys that are doing the espionage on me, that I ultimately became cool with, and I'm friends with them now. And there's 3 people I got that are always there, and like I said, there's 3 people using the listening port 9050 on the Tor software that they're hooked up to, and the other 2 out of the 5 are using port 7, which I haven't looked into yet, which I'm gonna do that really soon here. And then I'm gonna go in and have a chat with somebody, because I gotta get this shit unloaded. I still got it in my system. And I'll tell you one thing. I've learned that the Joint Security Cooperation Agency is the one who hired the Asians, or the Southeast Asian nation people, to come into the hospital that day that I was interrogated heavily and forced to say what they wanted me to say into a recording device. So they got that out of me, and they're able to, extort me so bad if they want to. And I think they're just waiting for me to get close to getting somewhere with this, and possibly getting close to, who knows, maybe they're waiting for me to collect, or to get close to collecting the payoff, and then they're gonna fucking unload this shit on me with a criminal case that is pending possibly in the future. And they could go shoot the guy whose name I said in the bunk confession, if that's what you want to call it. And I just call it a statement they told me to say, and they told me word for word what to say, so I repeated it like they wanted, and they got it all out of me through the microwave auditory effect telecommunications system and broadcasting. They were broadcasting microwaves, is what I think. It could actually be something else, but I doubt it. I'm pretty sure it's thermal elastic expansion of the tissue and cartilage surrounding your ear and your inner ear, and I think that's exactly what causes it, is that it contracts and expands and contracts to the beat of the modulation on the microwave carrier, and that's what it does. Microwave carrier signal is what I meant to say. And these sons of bitches are just leaving no evidence anywhere, but they have left a little bit for me. And I got some hard evidence and some not so hard evidence, and I got a lot of circumstantial evidence that I think I can get somewhere with. And I'm going for, I want like $10 million at least, and that ain't even close to being enough, though. I wouldn't mind having, I couldn't even be happy, I don't think, if I had $5 billion, to be honest with you. I mean, I probably wouldn't even smile about it, because money ain't what I'm after anymore, but it is and it ain't. I mean, I need it to live, and money would really help me out right now, because if I had $1 million or something like that, I could probably go buy a house and be comfortable for the rest of my life, and I would like that, and I deserve it. I worked so very hard for the CIA and the FBI, and I've had people try to kill me with putting saran wrap or plastic wrap over my mouth and nose back in 2013, when I was getting close to having some big evidence on the DOD, and somebody came into my house, and 2:30 in the morning is when I woke up, and I was repositioned with my feet flat on the floor, laying on my back on my bed, and I was in the middle of the bed. Like, I had never, hell no, did I go to sleep in that way ever. I would have never done that. I remember going to sleep, properly and laying right in bed, the way a normal person does. And I woke up repositioned with plastic wrap over my mouth and nose, perfectly placed. I mean, this shit didn't even have a crease in it or anything. And I was suffocating, and the only thing that I think woke me up was the high amplitude that they were using on the microwave beam that they had going to my brain, so that these guys could say, "Dennis, wake up, wake up, wake up." And that's what I woke up to. I'll never forget it. Through the microwave auditory effect, I could hear these guys. I just call it hearing, but it ain't really hearing. It's not audible sound. It's not a sound either, but you can actually refer to radio frequencies as noise. A lot of people do, and that's a good term for scientists to use. But when I say noise, I always think of audio, and this shit is invisible to anybody other than me. And I think that's because it's got some kind of algorithm or something that, or not an algorithm, but code to it, that maybe I got an IP address assigned to me or in my brain or whatever. I think that's probably what it is. And they may even have an IP address assigned to the, what is it again? What the iron or whatever in the brain, they could be doing something like that too, and maybe even using a static IP, who knows? And they assign one to the microwave beam, and then you get that way of only hearing it for one person. But then again, I've never really experimented with having another person and throwing them in front of it or anything so they could intercept it for me and asking them if they heard it. But I just know that my brother and my brother may have never heard it though, but I think he has. I know my mother's heard it for sure, because one day back when she was still alive, she said to me and my brother, she said, they can hear everything you guys say, so, be careful. And I remember that crystal clear, and it makes me sick, because I remember I got really uncomfortable after she said that, because I didn't like the fact that I had to have these guys leech onto her now, and I knew then that they had been talking to her too, and the same guys that talked to me were talking to my mother, and I don't know, it could be just a coincidence, but I doubt it. But I've heard my brother say before the name of the guy who represents himself as the FBI agent involved in this whole thing, and he's a good guy. I mean, I love him, he's my friend, he's my best friend, to be honest with you, and I just wish that I had been able to get a job with this guy and work with him, because I'm a really good investigator. I figure stuff out, and I figured out that this guy is really along the lines of the kind of FBI agent that I would probably be if I was one, and I hope I hope we don't have problems, because they could be doing what I was telling you earlier, Jerry. What do you think, man? Think about it. What if they got the DTRA involved or some shit, so they can get that on people, what I'm trying to say, after the fact. I think the DTRA is doing the brain activity processing and turning that brain activity into usable information or data and intelligence too, that are then maybe passing back to the NSA after it's refined and forged and fucking counterfeited. I mean, these guys could be being that dirty, because I know that's how big this situation got, and it got that way kinda fast, I guess, considering most people don't get, VAR in their entire lifetime. They don't ever understand what anything is, they don't know what the uses and purposes of what is being done to them is, and they don't know why it's been done, and they don't even come to the conclusion of espionage. And espionage is probably my case more so than anybody else's, due to the fact of, like I said, my dad's got 22 U.S. patents. I am capable of inventing lots of shit, and they took away that ability by swamping me with these horrible experiences that I've had with electronic warfare and torture with electronic warfare and the goddamn microwave auditory effect in the beginning for about 6 years, I think it was, that I hated it for, and I actually like it now, and I don't want to go retarded because of it, so I want these guys to back off if they have to. If they know something that I don't know, and I really don't know the damages of the microwaves and the brain tissue and stuff like that, I wish I did, but I don't, and there's really nothing on the internet about it. Not very much anyway. And there's no way for me to know what the amplitude is because they actually took Radio Shack and closed it in the Twin Cities area. Probably because I think they closed it somewhat because of me, because I was heading there. I was gonna go there in about a week. This was 5 years ago or 4.5 years ago, and I was gonna go there, and I was planning to get there, and all of a sudden I went there, and I was there about a week and a half. I was half a week late, and they had closed it about 4 days before I got there, and it was closed for good. It was out of business, and they got bought out by some other business, and they closed all the Radio Shacks in the area, and I was unable to get the tool that they had on the shelf there. That was a $400 electromagnetic spectrum analyzer, and it was a very nice thing to have, and it would have told me what band of Wi-Fi they're using. I think it's X band that NSA uses, along with the military too. And then this tool was capable of detecting which band, how many decibels it was, that's the amplitude. I'm pretty sure that's what that is. I forgot, actually. I gotta read up on that again. Anyways, you guys gotta figure out this much, that they have been taking brain activity from lots of people, and they're turning it into usable functionalities like motor function reconstruction and vision reconstruction. I think they're even taken the audio reconstruction from the microwave auditory effect, which you could probably call it audio at that point, because it's coming from the inside and being recorded on the inside of your head instead of the outside, and then it's being reproduced, and that's what they're doing. I think they're using that for intelligence that they would never be able to use in court unless you were an NSA or a military active duty person. And maybe that's why this guy don't want to fuck around with trying to figure out if I know he stole a bunch of my emails, and this son of a bitch, he stole all my money, and I made money. I know I did. I know for a fucking fact I produced a shitload. We're talking billions, if not trillions. And yeah, no joke. No fucking joke. I want my money because I know I loaded a bunch of supercomputers and filled them fuckers up completely. And their hard drive, I filled them up to the point where they're overflowing into the database of NSA and the DTRA too. I wonder what kind of database they got, if they use the same database that NSA uses or what. I'd like to know. I gotta look into the DTRA some more and figure some more shit out about them, because they're dirty. I know they are. 'Cause they wouldn't have that agency over in Singapore if it wasn't a dirtball agency. And plus, I went to locate my cell phone one night, and I typed in the information to get it found, and I was just testing the application to see if it worked. And when lo and behold, I went to fucking enter, or I hit go or whatever, and it located my phone. It said it was in Singapore 36 minutes ago on the computer screen, and my phone was with me the whole time. So I believe that is the DTRA that got me, got my signal tapped, and it teleported my goddamn phone basically all the way back to the DTRA where they're tapping the signal from. And it's wild though, how that works. And my phone basically traveled through the internet is what I think, and it went right to their computer in the DTRA Singapore. And I think that explains a little bit of why they had Southeast Asian nation people come into the hospital that day to do the neuromorphic vision calibration on me, and they dialed in my vision perfectly so that they knew exactly what I was looking at. Somehow they knew what was on those floor tiles, and I don't know, I just can't believe that they did something like that with those images on the floor tiles like that. All the skulls and the fire and flames on every one of them. There's fucking wicked skulls on those floor tiles in that room. And whatever they gave me, if it wasn't just microwaves or stimulation of the brain from microwaves, then or Wi-Fi, that would be. And if that's not what it was, then they drugged the hell out of me and my food. And it's just what I thought in the first place, was that they drugged me. But ever since, I've been showing a lot of shit that I shouldn't probably even never been able to see. And the only reason I did see it was because people wanted me to think about it and process the information that I took in, and they wanted me to think about a way to justify it. So all I did was figure more shit out about that subject for these guys that are doing the espionage on me, to be able to learn more about their own subject of work. And they like it a lot. They like the deep learning experience that they get from doing espionage on guys like me. And I know that I think, superb compared to some of these people out there. And I never lost balance. I kept my feet on the ground despite them even doing brain simulations of human cognition on me, to the point where I had things happening in the daytime even that seemed like it was a dream, because they can literally distract your mind so much with these simulations that they seem like they're real, and you actually forget the facts about what happened during your day if you're not careful and you're not paying attention. So that's why I've been, you know, putting all my energy into this, fighting this for a long time, 14 years, and I haven't had the simulations for about 4 months or so, and I'm happy about that, and I don't want them ever again, really, but unless I ask for them. And I just want to say that this shit is real as it gets. Anybody wants to challenge it, then they don't know how fucking electromagnetics and the microwaves affect the brain and the body, and they don't know nothing about electronic warfare apparently, because it can do just about anything under the sun to a person invisibly and leaving no evidence, and it hurts really bad too. It's a really painful system of torture too, if they want to use it for torture. And I dealt with it again for 3 goddamn years of my life, and I had the Department of Defense turn it off, shut the operation down. I'm pretty sure they shut it down unless they just waited for the date that it expired, and they could have done that too, and it's possible, but I doubt it. I think they actually did quite a good job for me, because they said status resolved in the mail that I got from them, and that's all I got to say. Anyways, I gotta go to bed. Good night.